Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Intonetic Method podcast. This is episode number 5. My name is Nicola, an accent production coach, and your host here at intonetic.com. Today, we're going to be talking about whether accent reduction classes actually work and how they work. So, I want to go ahead and start off on a very, very easy style of answering this question. So in short, so TLDR, if you will. In short, yes, they work quite well. There's a lot of research that showed that structured accent reduction training creates significant improvement in both pronunciation accuracy and listener comprehension. I can't remember the exact name. I will have to look it up and link it down below this episode, but there was a meta-analysis of 48 studies that found that participants in guided accent modification program showed an average of 47% of reduction in pronunciation errors, so this is huge, and a 68% improvement in listener comprehension ratings. However, we have to know that not all approaches are equally effective. So the most successful accent reduction programs share some of the following characteristics. First and foremost, personalized assessment and targeted focus areas are what I believe is to be the best approach when it comes to tackling, accent training and accent, pronunciation issues. Any app and any program that is I'm trying to not use the word cookie cutter method, but it really is. Anything that is like very templated and that is a one size fits all, in my experience, it just is not a good choice for most people. Why? Because even though there are many similarities between speakers of, non-native English speakers, even from the same country, let's say two Polish people, most likely they're not going to have everything the same as far as the errors they make, the mispronunciations they typically produce, and so on. So if there is a program that really accurately and helps tackle one specific set of sounds, what are people supposed to do if that one problematic target sound is not addressed in that program? Nothing. They literally cannot do anything. So this is why personalization really, really matters. Targeted practice, and sometimes, 9 out of 10 sounds can be the same, but that 10th sound is maybe going to make a lot of difference. So personalization matters. Number 2, feedback from trained professionals who can identify subtle errors. In the last couple of months, there's been a number of artificial intelligence applications. One of those are Speak app. Another one is Elsa Speak. Another one is Bold Voice, I think the name is. And a lot of times they promise that using AI, which is the newest fad in the world, if you haven't noticed, that using AI, they're going to identify the subtle errors and these fine mistakes, and that they are going to get feedback. In a group where I am that gathers around 500 accent coaches, what I have seen is that people have not been able to get good results with this. Even accent coaches who are native speakers, they went ahead and tried testing it, and they were very frequently misidentified in terms of what countries they came from. Once again, all these people were from the United States. However, despite them being from the United States, they were misidentified as being from, let's say, Brazil or from Russia or from France. Now, I don't know about you, but if I hear an AI app give me a completely unfounded recommendation on what I should be doing, starting from the point that it doesn't even know how to properly identify my own accent, I have a problem with that. And I think a lot of people will have the same problem as well. So maybe in the future, AI will get so good that it gets to the point where it is able to do that. I just don't think whether we're here right now. I really don't think that. Number 3 is going to be structured progression from sounds to words to conversation. Duolingo is a famous app. However, what I never liked about Duolingo is the fact that it never really went above and beyond, and it never really gave me a structured approach how I can learn Spanish. Now, I know some of you might be Spanish native speakers, and it's easy for you because that's the language that you acquired. However, me, a non-native Spanish speaker who's never had the chance to use Spanish, outside of saying hola or cómo estás or something like that, very, very basic, I just did not find Duolingo's approach to be very structured. It would give me some words and situations that I personally would never find myself in. And so, again, going back to the point of structured progression is of paramount importance. And then finally, regular practice with accountability. I know there are people with Duolingo, again, I'm using the Duolingo example, but I know there are people with 2,000-day streaks, and good for them. But let's be realistic. Not everybody is that disciplined, to say the least. So not everybody has enough time. Not everybody sets language learning as their uttermost and utmost priority. And that's just the reality of things. So yes, in an ideal world, everybody would be doing that. However, in real life, that it just doesn't work like that. So regular practice with accountability is something that anybody looking for accent production classes should definitely be considering. So again, in this meta-analysis that we mentioned, the effective voice projection was said that it could enhance communication and confidence, making it basically a crucial component of successful accent production. So some of the things that people should be very mindful of, and one of my students calls them red flags, but they really are red flags. So some of the red flags to watch for in accent reduction programs include promises of complete accent elimination. So just please buy my program, and in the next 3 months, you're going to wake up sounding like a dude born in New York. I'm sorry, that's virtually impossible for 99.9999% of the people. Having an accent, again, is not an issue per se. What we're fighting against is lack of intelligibility. So if you say, let's say, relax, and somebody understands that you said tax, that's a problem. That's an intelligibility problem. You don't want to be misunderstood on the basis of unintelligibility. What you want is to be 100% understood, even if you have some of the characteristics and traits of your first language. It's not a problem, right? But very rarely, almost never, I'm trying to avoid using the word never, but almost never, will an accent reduction program completely eradicate your first language's accent. One-size-fits-all approach that do not consider your native language is just, it's not the best. Also, when there is exclusive focus on individual sounds without addressing rhythm and intonation, it's just not going to cut it. You can fix your L's and your R's and your T's and whatever sound it is that you're struggling with. If you still talk like this, you are going to struggle, right? So never will you hear a native English speaker be that choppy. Never will you hear a native English speaker struggle with intonation. There should be visible and audible difference between a native speaker who has mastered or acquired, but really mastered American English rhythm and intonation, and somebody who's not. And it really makes a big difference. And finally, no clear methodology or no progression plan. If you ever notice or come across a plan where they tell you, we're going to do this and then this and then this, but we can freeball it. You can decide what you want to work on. I promise you, this is not the best approach. So in conclusion, the question really isn't about whether accent reduction works. It is about avoiding any false claims and programs that have false claims, and really finding everything that the right approach has for your specific needs and learning style. And if you're unsure whether adults can really change their accents, there is an article that goes in deeper into the science behind it. And the answer is yes, as you might have noticed. And it talks about how long it takes and how much it takes and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and link that in the episode description below. But for now, we're calling it a day. I just wanted to share a little bit about do accent reduction classes actually work, and some of the key components that you should be looking out for when finding a successful accent regression program, as well as some of the red flags that you should be watching out for. Once again, thank you for your time. My name is Nicola, and I will see you in the next episode.